Donald Trump is in a rage, and you can understand why, because a federal court, that means one of the courts that controls the whole country, you have state courts, federal courts, so this is a full American court, has ruled that his tariff policies are unlawful. This is a court called the US Court of International Trade. So it is blocking Trump's economic tariff policies. He is going to appeal, of course, to the Supreme Court. Chances are he'll do all right there because the Supreme Court is loaded in his favour, but you don't know. But of course, what he's angry about is, you know, he's saying, I'm the democratically elected president. This is my democratic government. We are representatives of the people. You three obscure judges, you know, you're not elected, and how is it that you are able to dictate the economic policy of the most powerful country on earth? How is this happening? We have the same problem in this country.
That's it, exactly.
We really do. I mean, for example, not a particularly clever example, but, you know, for example, our current government was unable, in its confusion about what a woman is, you know, Keir Starmer, 99% of women don't have penises. Love to meet that 1% who do. But in its confusion, it wasn't able to reach a policy about biological sex until the Supreme Court, in its wisdom, after 5 years, decided that on balance, a woman is someone who's born a woman. So there you have it. The courts dictating government policy, the government feeling unable to come up with policies until it has the backing of the courts. I think our problem here in this country is that if you go to that funny old place, the House of Commons, something like 50% of them are barristers. We have too many lawyers not in government, in politics. Too many of them.
Well, you think about Blair, you think about Starmer himself. You know, they run.
Well, Margaret Thatcher, but well, she's the exception that proves the rule, of course. But
so America's been trading at a self-imposed deficit, and what Trump wants to do is balance that out. So he had to have recourse to what's called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act from 1977.
I knew that.
And so this is how far he has to go. Now, this is why he was voted in the first place, right? Because he wants to get things done. He wants to cut through all of this stuff. Yeah. But what America has and what we have are activist judges, okay? Activist judges who are working against Britain and America, who are working against democracy, who are, keep coming back to this word, who are globalists. We have the same problem, and they are almost like fifth columnists trying to defeat us in what we're doing. And all he's asking for is actually a level playing field. Now, I think, Kev, you're right in the sense that I think he'll probably do quite well when he goes to appeal with this, because I think, you know, hopefully people, the judges there will see sense, and they are, you know, they are his people. But again, this is really worrying. This is what we're up against. And if we're thinking into the future and we're thinking about 2029, this is what reform have to think about. This is what they're taking on. So they need policy.
They'll be opposed every step of the way by the legal eagles, by the courts.
They've got to think about how they take on the activist judges.
But you see, you get people like Starmer, you know, and to him, you know, the god of all diktats is the rule of law. The rule of law, the rule of international law, the rule of law. Well, you know, of course you have to respect the law. But should the law be ruling the country? Should judges sitting in some courtroom, you know, be able to completely reverse, change, block government policy, the policy of an elected government? No, I don't think they should.
It's a particular mindset, isn't it? It's the rule of law is the same as the rule of the EU. It's something far away. It's something untouchable. It's something we can't do anything about, and it imposes a kind of authoritarian power on us.
Yeah, and it is not to be worshipped to the extent that people like Keir Starmer do. The rule of this country, what should be ruling this country. This is a democracy.
Yeah, the will of the people.
For want of a better word, what should be ruling this country is the democratically elected government. And the idea that there's a power higher than that, i.e. a bunch of barristers sitting in a courtroom, that's all wrong to me. That is, and as you say, Philip, these people are invariably politically motivated.
Oh, they're activists. But this was why we voted, 17.5 million people, whatever it was, voted to come out of the EU for precisely this reason. Nobody with any sense wants this. Nobody wants to be ruled over in this very authoritarian way. So it's, as I say, this is what Reform have to do. They have to understand how they are going to take on this layer of bureaucracy in a way.
Because they're going to... This is what's happening with Trump. You see, I mean, Trump, if you like, is the kind of Farage reform type guy of America. And of course the liberal elite, usually Democrats, but quite a few Republicans as well, are going to try and block him every single way and every single step of the way, and the best way of doing that is through the courts.
Yeah, and this is, again, this is like management by committee, isn't it? You know, which is the worst thing in the world. You know, a committee is an animal with 4 back legs. And there's something...
What is it? A camel is a horse designed by a committee.
Exactly. But committees are actually there to stop things and just to impose one particular agenda. And like I say, that's the big challenge for us to upturn all of this stuff.
Yeah, and as I say, this is why Keir Starmer won't leave the ECHR, the European Court of Human Rights, which is the legal branch of the European Convention on Human Rights, because that is the role of international law. And it's a standing scandal, I think, that, you know, the reason, as we were discussing earlier in this hour, that the migrant crisis can't be solved is successive prime ministers, this one because he's a lawyer, will not leave the European Court of Human Rights. And until we do not, in the end, make our own decisions about our borders and many of our legal decisions in our courts. These we're going to be discussing in about an hour's time with Isabel Oakeshott another one of these cases where a Pakistani drug dealer with 21 convictions to his name obviously should be immediately deported. He's a Pakistani national, been here for several years, earning a living, selling heroin to British people, doing very nicely. 21 convictions, should be deported. Why isn't he being deported? Because under the European Convention of Human Rights, he has a right to a family life. And of course, he's got a family here. That is perverted. That's perverse. It's grotesque, isn't it?
It's why we need sovereignty. Sovereignty is so important because we get to make our own decisions, and our own decisions put us as a nation first. What we are doing at the moment, and what human rights lawyers do by default, is put everybody else first, to the detriment of our well-being.
Yeah, and that's the problem with Keir Starmer. He likes this. I mean, in his world, in his ideal world, you go to the European Court of Human Rights or something, and if they bring back a verdict you don't like, he'd love it if there was a court above that, and you just keep going.
Until you get what you want.
But you never make your own decisions. You are dictated to by obscure legal eagles sitting in darkened rooms. This is Keir Starmer's world. The rule of law. Well, the rule of law is overrated. It's certainly over-venerated. Yes, we must respect the law. Yes, we must respect international law, but at our own expense, at the expense of national sovereignty, at the expense of the dignity of making our own decisions about our own country, I don't think so. So I hope to hell, to high heaven, that Donald Trump succeeds in smashing those puffed up judges to bits and gets to impose his policies. Whether or not you like his tariff policies, he's the elected president. He should be able to carry them out, right? So Philip Kiszely, what a great hour as always with you. Philip Kiszely from the New Culture Forum. He'll be back very soon.